As the research manager for Johnson & Johnson, Hazel Guardian leads the consumer research program to uncover consumer insights and help guide their business strategies. She's highly experienced in statistical design and data analysis, and today she's going to explore the use of Google Glass in consumer research. Hazel.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, David, for that introduction. I'd like to start my presentation by saying to all of you that the glass is not dead. In January 19 of this year, I'm sure you've heard that it was the last day to get the glass, the Glass Explorer edition of, the Google Glass Explorer edition. And prior to this event, or even after this event, a lot of articles or even blogs have been written saying that the glass is dead, considering all the controversies that surrounded it, particularly privacy. However, the glass is very much alive, and it is just under a temporary hiatus now that the new team in Google is working on the improved versions. So if you look at the web page of the glass, this is what you will see. So there is a promise from Google that the glass will continue to exist and will become a significant part of our lives. However, this is not what we are all here today. I'm actually here to share with you our experience using the glass for doing consumer research. Last year, the research and development team of Johnson & Johnson, which I am a part of, had the chance to use the glass for consumer research in Asia Pacific. Of course, all of us were very excited when we first heard that we were going to use the glass for consumer research. But before I continue with my presentation, I'd like to do a short Glass 101, just to point to you the key features of the glass that helped us in our consumer research. This one, I'm not sure if you can see it, but the little screen, the transparent screen, is the prism. So it's pretty much like the screen of your mobile phone, but of course, much, much smaller. And of course, you can see the camera. And on the right side of the glass, you will have the touchpad, which you can use to command the glass in place of the voice-activated commands. So when we got the glass, we actually envisioned how we will use it, particularly in R&D, to do consumer research. We said that we would be able to connect our R&D scientists remotely. So, of course, it would be very impossible or very difficult to fly, say, 20 scientists from the US to consumer homes in Indonesia or in India or the Philippines or even in China. So with the glass, we should be able to connect these scientists to our consumers. In our organization, we actually believe that our scientists would be able to develop products for our consumers if they are able to see them in their natural environment or even connect with them on a personal level. So that's why there's a need to connect these scientists to our consumers. Secondly, we wanted to use the glass to capture facial expression and measure consumer emotion. Of course, I'm sure you will all agree with me that our consumers are not always in touch with their emotion, or they're not very articulate about their emotion, and sometimes there are even consumers who are not sure about what they are feeling. So they will just say, okay, I like the product, but they don't exactly know why they like the product. They can't even talk about their emotion as they were using the product. And lastly, we said that we wanted to use the glass to uncover consumer needs which are more often than not unspoken or unarticulated. Steve Jobs said that the consumers are not always able to articulate what they want. So as R&D scientists, we wanted the glass to help tell us what the consumers really want, even though they are unable to articulate it. Okay, so the first stop in our journey with the glass was a trade visit. We went into a typical supermarket in the Philippines, armed with a glass, and we just had to position ourselves in front of a shelf and say, okay, glass, take a picture. And these are the pictures taken using the glass. So the pictures are very clear, owing to the fact that the glass has a good resolution. It's a camera with a good resolution. It's 5 megapixels to be exact. But why am I highlighting this feature of the glass? You know, in a typical consumer research, you would need, or a typical trade visit, you would need 5 people. 3 from the research agency and 2 from the client side. Why do you need 3 people from the agency? One is the interviewer or the moderator. Another one is the person holding the video, and another person holding a camera. And 2 people from the client side observing. And of course, these 2 people would also have either a camera or a smartphone. So you see, our consumers are very diverse. There are consumers who are camera shy, that the mere sight of a camera would make them feel really uncomfortable. So they will act unnatural or even freeze each time they see the camera. So actually, when we had one consumer immersion, the respondent was telling us everything that she was doing. So she would say, okay, I'm now walking to the aisle, is it okay? I'm now taking this bottle, is it okay? So she would act very unnatural. And there are also consumers, of course, who would love to be in front of the camera. And these are consumers that we typically would want to interview without the glass, because even if we have a camera, a video recorder, a camera, they would still act naturally and forget that there is a camera beside them. Or also imagine with me that you are doing your usual shopping, and there are people around you taking their pictures. Of course, you would feel uncomfortable. It actually happened to me once when I was doing my shopping, and I know there were people doing market research or consumer research. So they were taking pictures of the consumers, and of course, I had to transfer to another aisle because I didn't want to be in the picture. I didn't want to be a photo bomber. So the glass would be able to record consumer immersion in a very discreet way. The second stop of our journey with the glass was a home visit. So we went into a consumer's home, and we observed her do her facial skincare regimen. And I was really glad that there is a touchpad on the side of the glass, because I did not have to say, okay, glass, take a picture several times. So I just had to tap on that touchpad, and it took pictures for me. The most important part of a consumer immersion is, of course, taking a video, because that will allow you to record the consumer habit and share it with your R&D scientists or business partners. So I'll be showing you a snippet of the video taken from a consumer immersion where the respondent is doing her facial skincare regimen. So this is a typical lower C consumer home in the Philippines. And this is the bathroom. And the respondent is, of course, washing her face. So when you use the glass, the prism is a little, or the camera and the prism and the camera are a little above your eyebrow or your right eye. So you have to check the prism several times to make sure that you're capturing the right angle or your respondent is within the frame. But the videos you have seen is very clear because it also has a very good resolution. And what's good about the glass is that it could take video for up to 50 minutes. But at 28 minutes, you will see a message flashing on the screen that says, low battery, charge soon. At first, I was really scared because, of course, I won't be able to finish recording the skincare regimen of the respondent. But actually, even with that message, the glass will take the video up to another 40 to 50 minutes, provided it is fully charged, and then it will automatically shut down. But of course, I didn't have to worry about it because it was intelligent enough to have recorded the video. This is probably the most or the best part of our experience with the glass, the ability to live stream. In this picture, the lady on the lower right corner is a colleague based in China. She was actually doing the consumer observation with me while she was in her office in China. And in this next picture, the lady on the lower right corner is a colleague based in Korea. She was doing the trade visit with me while I was in the Philippines and she was in Korea, in the Korea office. So again, I'm highlighting this feature because not everyone can join a consumer immersion. So typically, consumers' homes are not big enough, especially if you are talking to lower income consumers to comfortably fit, say, 4 to 5 people. And of course, as I've mentioned earlier, it's very difficult to fly people, to fly your scientists to the consumer homes because budget is always a constraint. We needed 3 things for the glass to work for us. So, of course, we needed a compatible phone, so the glass would work either with an Android phone or an iPhone, and a glass app that you can download from either the App Store or the Google Play Store. And of course, you would need a very strong and stable Wi-Fi connection because the glass will not work without it. I'm actually not sure if these 3 are the same essential items that will be needed with the new versions of the glass. But basically, when we use the glass for consumer research, we needed these 3 things. The glass that we got to use was just a prototype, so it actually had some imperfections. Unfortunately, it only works with Android phones outside the US. So I had to buy an Android phone in order for the glass to work because I was actually using a BlackBerry at that time and an iPhone. So there are also users of BlackBerry in the Philippines. Secondly, it overheats. So I was actually thinking probably because it was made in the US where it's much cooler than many parts of Asia, it probably didn't have this issue. But when we were using this for consumer research, it actually overheat and I had to cool down in order for the functions to work well. So it was actually very funny because I had to ask our respondent to turn on her electric fan, and I had to place the glass in front of the electric fan for it to cool down. Otherwise, I would not have been able to take pictures or record videos or even do live streaming. And unfortunately, live streaming doesn't always work outside the place where the glass was set up. So I've set up the glass in the Philippines, but when I brought it outside the Philippines, the live streaming function did not always work. So last year, in the MRMW conference, I actually spoke with the Glassic team. And I was told that this is an issue with the glass, and David, who's actually, I think, the CEO of Glassic, told me that I was lucky that I was able to make the live streaming function of the glass work for me because none of the glass products that he brought from the US to Singapore actually worked as far as live streaming function is concerned. And depending on the speed of Wi-Fi or internet connection, the live streaming would freeze. So if you have very slow Wi-Fi connection, your scientists or the people observing through the live streaming function won't be able to see what you're actually seeing on the field. And lastly, which made me very disappointed, is that the capabilities of the glass would work one at a time. So if you're recording a video, you will not be able to take pictures or even live stream. So when I first used the glass, I actually wrote to the glass community and told them about this issue. And I'm really hoping that this is something that the glass team will be able to improve on because it's really very important for consumer research. Privacy. This is probably the biggest controversy that surrounded the glass. But if we are to use the glass in doing consumer research or market research, I don't think that this will be an issue, considering that we always ask our consumers to sign the informed consent document so they would know what's happening and they would know that we are taking their pictures or recording the video. I'm sure you all know the difference between a prototype and the final product. So the glass has been evolving ever since it was first launched. So I'm really hoping that the glass would be improved so that it could be a powerful tool in doing consumer research. So when the glass is improved, it will really allow us to connect our R&D scientists to our consumers remotely. So imagine, if you say you are in the US, imagine observing a mom in India use baby products on her baby, or imagine a consumer in Japan doing or her oral care regimen, or even imagine observing a consumer in Brazil applying a sun protection product right at the comfort of her home or office. Last year, I've mentioned that I've spoken with the Glassy team, and I was told that there were plans to actually make the glass as an eye tracking device, and even to measure facial expression. I'm not sure if if the glass will be able to work as the typical eye tracking device, but if this function will be made part of the glass, I think this will be very important and very relevant to consumer research. And last year, the glass was given a patent for the gaze tracking app. So with this app, it can actually measure the facial expression of the respondent. So able to measure slight changes on the facial expression of the respondent or the person in front of you, so that the glass will be able to detect if the respondent is experiencing a positive or a negative emotion, and can even zero in on emotions like joy, contempt, disgust, or anger. So being able to understand the consumers at the subconscious level will be very helpful, particularly for not only for R&D work, but for market researchers as well. And another thing that we would envision the glass to do is the ability to measure the emotion of the observer and the participant. So if, for example, the mom is applying a product on her baby, it would be great if the glass would be able to track the emotion of the mom and that of her baby as she is using the product, so during the entire product usage process. Because it's actually exciting if I put myself in the shoes of an R&D scientist, because I would exactly know how a slight change in an ingredient, or probably a slight change in the level of a fragrance, would impact the emotion of the mom. So I would know what exactly would drive liking of the product. And last year, there were actually two apps which were launched for Google Glass. One is the facial recognition app. So what it does is to actually match the face of the person with all the information that he or she has placed in social media sites. So it's kind of scary, but as far as market research is concerned, I like it because I would be able to know whether the consumer is telling the truth, whether she says who she really is. The other app is the app that measures, the consumer emotion. So these are already available, and I do hope that the improved version of the glass would be able to actually have all these features to make it a very relevant tool for consumer research. So based on our experience with the glass, I can say that the glass is very relevant in doing consumer research, particularly for us in the R&D community.
Are they listening to you in Google? Do we know when they're going to respond?
Actually, I've written them an email last week, and they responded to me just the other day and told me that unfortunately, the new versions of the glass will only be available firstly in the US.
Ah, okay.
So not in Asia, but...
Yeah.
Good morning, Hazel. I'm Peter Harris from Vision Critical. Thanks very much for a great presentation. I thought one of your first points was the most interesting, which is you're looking for a way of connecting without travel, and that's very important across multiple markets in Asia. So overall, through the whole project, do you feel that the Google Glass was able to connect your scientists completely without travel?
Yeah, we were able to connect some of our scientists with the consumers only in places where network connection was strong. But there were places where network connection wasn't strong, and we even actually brought pocket Wi-Fi's with us to make the glass work. But unfortunately, in those cases, it did not work. So what we did was to just record the video and send the video immediately after to the consumer scientists or to the R&D scientists. Actually, it's difficult, especially if you are doing research in emerging markets, because network signal is not always strong in many of the emerging markets, especially if you go, for example, to lower 3 or 4 cities. Sometimes the network signal is not strong. It can be strong outside the house of the respondent, but when you go inside the house, you won't get any signal. So the live streaming function will not work.
Any other questions? Yes.
I also found it really interesting. What's your impression of how big Google Glass could become? And the reason I ask is, of course, if everyone's wearing Google Glass, then the research potential is amazing. But I suspect it won't be 100% of the world population.
Well, actually, I think the glass is not for everyone, because we've seen that when it was launched in the US, a lot of people, especially the ones with high digital IQ, became very scared, because even if the glass was not on, people were thinking that the person wearing the glass was recording them or taking their picture. So I think glass will be for market research or even for the academe or even for the medical field. I don't think it's for everyone. But if glass is, actually when you go to the glass website, there's actually a section that says glass at work. So you can actually partner with the glass team and tell them about how you will use the glass at work. So if glass is able to explode the potential of the prototype or the product in doing market research or in the medical field, I think it has a huge potential.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Chihei from iSquare. I reckon that if you collect all these data, all these videos, I reckon it's going to be massive data and big, and I wonder how do you actually visualize these data into graphs or quantify it, or how do you use it?
It really depends on the project. So typically for consumer immersions, we're more into the qualitative learnings, but not really on the quantitative aspect of it. So we try to understand how the consumers feel or how the consumers use the product, and also understand the tension points as the consumers use the product. And out of these learnings, we try to develop new product ideas or new products to address the issues with the consumers. But if you're going to use this for quantitative research, of course, we would be needing tools to help us visualize the data.
Any more? Well, I look forward to wearing them. Thank you, Hazel.